Tuesday, March 12th, 10:47 a.m.
My coffee mug hits the floor and explodes. Ceramic shards skid across the hardwood, and a wave of hot, dark liquid washes into the expensive Persian rug I bought last year to celebrate landing my first six-figure client. Coffee creeps into red and blue threads like a stain I know I'll never scrub out. The only reason I dropped the mug is because the past just walked into my office holding a 4-year-old's hand. Elena Harper, 5 years. It's been 5 years since I saw her in person. 5 years since she fired me without explanation, blacklisted me from every serious law firm in Manhattan, and turned me from a Harvard-educated legal assistant into a bartender at O'Malley's just to survive. 5 years since one reckless night in a hotel suite above the Hudson, when I thought she might actually feel what I'd been feeling for 3 years. Now she's standing in the doorway of my firm, Foster Legal Consulting, Suite 804, modest but mine, wearing a navy blazer and Louboutins that probably still cost more than my monthly rent did back when she destroyed me. Her honey blonde hair is pinned into the same precise chignon I remember from every late night strategy session. Her blue eyes are the same too, cold, sharp, controlled. Except there's something cracked around the edges today. Fear, exhaustion, a kind of desperation that does not belong on the face of the most ruthless woman I've ever met.
And then there's the kid.
He can't be more than 4, blonde curls, cheeks still round with baby fat, a dinosaur hoodie that's just a little too big. One small hand clings to Elena's, the other clutches a crumpled piece of construction paper covered in blue and gray crayon. A blocky spaceship takes up most of the page, misshapen but unmistakable. The Millennium Falcon, built out of Legos. The boy looks around my office with blatant curiosity. The framed law degree on the wall instead of a diploma from some Ivy she'd approve of, the secondhand bookshelves, the view of Midtown that's decent but nowhere near the sweeping skyline from Harper Legal's 40th floor. Then his gaze lands on me. His eyes are blue like Elena's, but everything else about his expression is wrong. Because when he smiles, twin dimples appear, one a little deeper than the other, left side more pronounced, exactly like mine.
And there's a stubborn cowlick at the front of his hair, a little swirl that refuses to lie flat no matter how it's brushed, exactly like mine.
Daddy Legos? He asks, lifting the drawing higher, like he's checking whether I match the picture in his head. We build now? The room tilts. I grip the edge of my desk because my knees suddenly don't feel like they can hold me. My assistant Amy half stands from her desk in the outer office, eyes wide through the glass wall. I can feel her stare on the back of my neck. Elena crouches beside the boy, smoothing his hair with a familiar, efficient motion. Noah, honey, can you go play with Ms. Reyes for a few minutes? Mommy needs to talk to... She hesitates for a fraction of a second that feels like an hour. To Daddy. That word detonates in my chest. Noah beams at me, completely unbothered by the tension choking the air. Okay, but we build the big spaceship after, okay? Sure, I hear myself say, though my throat feels like it's full of glass. After. He trots out to Amy's desk, sneakers flashing with each step. The door closes softly behind him. The moment it does, Elena's shoulders sag an inch, as if a weight she'd been proudly carrying slipped.
I don't invite her to sit. I don't move around the desk. I just stare at her, at the woman who set my life on fire, and didn't bother to watch it burn.
Say it, I manage, voice flat. Whatever you rehearsed in the car, say it. Her fingers tighten around the strap of her bag until her knuckles turn white. He's yours, she says quietly. Noah, our son, DNA confirmed last month. He turned 4 in November. My first coherent thought is, of course. Of course you would walk in here like this, skipping every step that normal people take to deliver earth-shattering news. No phone call, no email, just, here's the kid you never knew you had, and by the way, he already calls you daddy. The second thought is more primitive. Get out, I say. She flinches like I slapped her. Liam, please! Get out. My voice cracks on the last word. I hate that she can still make me crack. She straightens, defaulting to the posture I remember from boardrooms and partner meetings. Spine like steel, chin lifted half an inch, emotions shoved somewhere no one can see them. You have every right to be angry. I deserve it. But I'm not walking out until I say what I came here to say. I don't care why you're here. I shove away from the desk, stepping around it until we're only a few feet apart. It's a mistake. Up close, I can smell her perfume. Chanel number 5, same as 5 years ago, and it drags too many memories with it. You fired me without severance, without a reference, and then made sure no one in this city would touch my resume. I slept on my cousin's couch, pulled double shifts behind a bar, and rebuilt my career from nothing while you climbed into a managing partner's chair. Now you show up with a 4-year-old and act like we're just picking up a conversation we paused last week. Her eyes shine, but she keeps her voice steady. I know what I did to you. I know I don't deserve anything from you, but this isn't about me. She glances toward the door. It's about him. You mean the kid you've let believe his father just what? Slept in? Got lost? Forgot he existed? I shake my head. You could have told me any time in the last 4 years, Elena. I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks after I fired you. Her voice drops, and for the first time since she walked in, she sounds less like Harper Legal's Ice Queen and more like the woman who once fell asleep on my shoulder at 2 a.m. over Discovery binders. If I hadn't fired you, my father would have, and he would have made sure no one in the industry ever hired you again. He said it verbatim with the board there to nod along. He did that anyway, I bite out. I know, she swallows. But in his version, you're a faceless problem. In the other one, you'd be the scandalous ex-assistant tied to me forever. He would have dragged you through the press, through the bar association, through every backroom conversation. I chose the lesser evil. I chose to cut you off privately instead of destroying you publicly. Don't spin this like you did me a favor. I'm not. The facade slips. Her jaw trembles. I'm telling you how badly I handled an impossible situation. I was terrified of losing the firm, terrified of my father, terrified of what people would say if they found out I'd slept with my assistant. So I made the coward's choice. I fired you. And then I found out I was pregnant. Silence presses in, thick and suffocating. Congratulations, I say. You got everything, the firm, the title, the kid. What more do you want? Her eyes harden at the word everything. Richard is filing for full custody, she says. He claims I'm an unfit parent, workaholic, unstable, no family support. He wants to move to London with his fiancée and take Noah with him permanently. The first hearing is on the 25th. And you realize the cute little nuclear family story plays better than single mother with a demanding job, I finish. So you dug up the man you discarded and brought him a child like some bargaining chip. I realize my son needs his father. She doesn't look away. And that the only person I trust with him more than myself is the man I betrayed 5 years ago. The words hit harder than they should. He doesn't know me, I say. I don't know him. You built this version of me in his head, Daddy Legos, and now you're asking me to step into the role like it's a suit you had tailored. I made a mistake when I cut you out of my life, she says. I will be paying for that for the rest of it, but Noah shouldn't pay with me. She takes a breath. My lawyer says if the court sees a stable co-parenting arrangement, if Noah has a present, involved father, the chances I keep primary custody are much better. I need you to be that father, not on paper, in reality. We stand there, two people with too much history and not enough future, a spreading coffee stain between us. Meet with your lawyer, I say at last. Once, neutral ground, I'll hear the details. Then I decide. Relief flashes across her face so fast she can't hide it. Thank you. Thursday, 2 p.m., Starbucks on Lexington and 53rd? Fine. She reaches for the door, then stops. For what it's worth, she says softly, I never stopped thinking about that night. Or about you. I just wasn't brave enough to live with the consequences. Then she's gone, and I'm alone with a ruined rug, a pounding headache, and the knowledge that somewhere in my outer office, a 4-year-old boy with my dimples is asking my assistant when daddy's coming back. 5 years earlier, the Harper Legal holiday party didn't start as a disaster. It started like every other monument to corporate excess at the Standard Hotel. Rooftop lounge, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Hudson, jazz trio in the corner, open bar pumping top-shelf liquor into people who billed in 6-minute increments, partners in suits worth more than my car mingled with clients and eager associates, all pretending they didn't hate each other. I've been Elena's executive assistant for 3 years then, long enough to know 3 things. 1, she hated these events. 2, she would go anyway. 3, she looked like she was born for them. She did. Black cocktail dress, minimal jewelry, hair down for once in soft waves. Her husband, Richard Crane, corporate darling at Morrison and Klein, stood beside her with one possessive hand on the small of her back. I was halfway through my first beer, tucked near a window, when I saw it happen. Richard leaned in, said something against her ear that made her jaw tighten, then peeled away from her and crossed the room. A young paralegal in a red dress was waiting near the elevators. They stepped in together. The doors slid shut.
Elena stood alone at the bar, eyes fixed on the elevator display. Floor numbers descended. She lifted her glass and drained her champagne in one precise swallow.
I should have stayed where I was, should have pretended not to see. Instead, I found myself walking toward her before my brain had a chance to catch up. "You okay?" I asked. She looked over, eyes flicking down to my name badge as if she needed the reminder. "Liam, I didn't realize you were here. Mandatory attendance, I blend into the wallpaper well." I nodded at the elevator. "That was..."
I know what that was. Her voice was calm, almost bored. The marriage has been dead for months. We're just waiting for Q4 bonuses and the right PR spin.
The band shifted to a slow Sinatra number, "The Way You Look Tonight." People filtered onto the dance floor. I watched her knuckles whiten around the stem of her glass. "Dance with me," I said. Her eyebrows lifted. "Excuse me?" "You hate small talk," I said. "You're miserable. I'm underpaid. The least we can do is get one decent moment out of this evening." Something in her expression cracked. "This is wildly inappropriate. So is your husband leaving with a paralegal in front of the entire firm?" After a beat, she set her glass down and held out her hand. "Don't step on my toes, Mr. Foster." We moved into the crowd. I put my hand at her waist, warm under silk. She rested her other hand on my shoulder, and for 3 minutes, everything outside the circle of that dance floor ceased to exist. She fit against me too well for it to be an accident.
"Why are you being nice to me?" she asked quietly.
"Because I've been in love with you since you yelled at a partner for talking over me in a meeting." "Because you looked like you needed someone in your corner," I said instead. She laughed once, unexpectedly. "Careful, people will think you're human."
We danced to another song, and another. At some point, she spilled a drop of red wine on my borrowed tie and gasped like she'd committed a federal crime. "I'll buy you 10 new ones." "You can owe me," I said.
Her gaze sharpened. "What would you want?" Right then, the only true answer was this. Her, us, something impossible. "Another dance," I said. "We'll negotiate the rest later." By the time most people had left, we were the last two at the rooftop bar. Jazz trio packing up, staff clearing glasses. Her driver had texted twice. She ignored it.
"I should go," she said, not moving.
"Yeah." She turned on the bar stool to face me fully. "I'm about to do something incredibly stupid."
"Tonight seems to be the night for it," I said.
She kissed me.
It wasn't tentative or testing. It was decisive, hungry, 5 years of professional distance combusting in an instant. Her fingers curled in my shirt as if she'd been wanting to do this as long as I had. We barely made it to her hotel suite before clothes started coming off.
In the morning, the sun hit her bare shoulder, where her hair spilled across the pillow, and I thought there was no universe in which this could be a mistake. Then she put the armor back on. "This was a lapse in judgment," she said, already in her navy suit, knotting her pearl earrings like buttons on a uniform. "It changes nothing." "It changes everything," I said. She looked at me then, eyes cold. "Take the day off," she said. "Bill it as sick leave." On Monday, security walked me out of Harper Legal with a cardboard box. On Tuesday, my inbox filled with carefully worded rejections from every major firm I applied to. By March, I was behind the bar at O'Malley's, asking hedge fund guys if they wanted another round instead of asking partners if they'd reviewed the draft motion. By November, I decided I was done begging her world to take me back and started building my own.
The Starbucks and strategy. 2 days after the surprise, you have a son reveal. I sit in the corner of a Starbucks on Lexington, hands wrapped around a coffee that's gone cold without me tasting it.
Elena arrives at exactly 2 p.m. with a woman in a gray suit and steel-rimmed glasses who introduces herself as Kavita Patel, family law specialist. Elena sits across from me, not beside me. I notice that. So does Ms. Patel. "I'll be direct," Ms. Patel says, tapping a stylus against her tablet. "Mr. Crane is petitioning for primary custody of Noah Harper Crane. alleging Ms. Harper is an unfit primary caregiver due to excessive work hours and lack of family support. He has a stable job offer in London, a fiancé, extended family willing to assist, and a documented visitation history. On paper, his case is strong.
I look at Elena. On paper, you're the villain.
On paper, yes, she says.
In reality, Ms. Patel continues, Noah's primary attachment figure is Ms. Harper. However, the court weighs stability and two-parent households heavily. Establishing a relationship between Noah and his biological father changed the equation. If we can demonstrate consistent involvement, co-parenting, and a united front, our chances improve dramatically.
I flip through the documents she slides across to me. Joint custody affidavit, co-parenting agreement, terms.
How involved are we talking? I ask. Family outings documented via photos, she says. Regular dinners, attendance at school events, integration into daily routines. First hearing is March 25th. Full proceedings will likely stretch into May or June.
So 3 months of playing happy family.
3 months of being a family, Mr. Foster, Ms. Patel corrects. On the record. I just found out the kid exists.
And he's been waiting for you for years, Elena says quietly. I look up sharply. I told him about you, she says. In bedtime stories, I didn't use your name at first, just Daddy. Then last year he asked me if his daddy had a name. I said Liam, and he made me repeat it until he could say it without getting the L stuck to the M. She swallows. He named his stuffed T-Rex after you. Sleeps with it every night.
There's a tightness in my chest I don't want to examine.
Why didn't you call me before he could form sentences, I ask. I was a coward, she says. No spin, no defense. I told myself I was protecting both of you, that if you found out, you'd hate him because of me, that he was better off with one parent who showed up than two who were at war.
And now I realize protecting myself is not the same as protecting him. She holds my gaze. I'm asking for your help, Liam, not as my former assistant, not as the man I hurt, as Noah's father.
Ms. Patel clears her throat, businesslike. Ms. Harper can compensate you for lost time and any disruption to your practice. If I say yes, it won't be for money, I say. It'll be for him. I tap the papers. And if I sign this, I get legal standing. I'm not just a prop for the hearing.
You become a legal parent with rights and responsibilities, Ms. Patel confirms. Visitation, decision-making. You'll be able to fight if anyone tried to cut you out later.
I stare down at the signature line. Liam Marcus Foster. Next to Noah Alexander Harper Crane. Somewhere outside this coffee shop, a boy with my dimples is drawing spaceships and asking when I'm coming home. I sign. Elena exhales like she's been holding her breath for 5 years.
Photographer is booked for Saturday morning, Ms. Patel says. Central Park, Bethesda Fountain, casual attire, natural interactions. After that, a regular schedule, 2 dinners per week minimum plus weekend activities. The more organic, the better. Judges are not stupid. They can smell an act.
What if it starts as an act and becomes something else? I ask before I can stop myself. Ms. Patel smiles faintly. Then we all win. She leaves a few minutes later, already on a call before the door closes. Elena stays. He really named a dinosaur after me? I ask. She laughs, soft and tired. Yes, a green one with one eye missing. He says Daddy Liam is a brave T-Rex who fights bad dreams. That's a lot of pressure for a guy who still has nightmares about discovery deadlines, I say.
Her smile fades, but the warmth lingers in her eyes. You didn't have to sign.
I didn't sign for you, I say. Don't confuse the two. I'm not. She stands, smoothing invisible wrinkles from her skirt. Saturday, 10 a.m. If you change your mind before then, text me. You really think I'm the one who will change my mind? I ask. She doesn't answer. She just walks away, leaving the smell of espresso and Chanel in her wake. Success. Central Park, test run. Saturday morning, the sky over Central Park is the particular shade of pale blue that only appears in early spring, when winter hasn't quite given up, but the sun is trying its best. The air is cold enough to sting my lungs as I breathe in. I spot them before Noah spots me.
Elena sits on a bench near Bethesda Fountain, hair down in loose waves, jeans and a white sweater softening the sharpness I'm used to. She's watching Noah with the kind of focus I've only ever seen her direct at billion-dollar contracts. He's near the edge of the fountain, stomping in a patch of slush like it personally offended him.
Then he looks up and sees me.
Daddy!
4-year-old legs move faster than they have any right to. He sprints toward me, arms out, sneakers lighting up with every step. I barely have time to brace before he collides with my thighs. Instinct kicks in. I scoop him up.
His arms wind around my neck like it's the most natural thing in the world. He smells like maple syrup, crayons, and the cheap kids' shampoo that always promises no tears and never delivers.
You came, he says, like there was a chance I wouldn't. Of course I came, I say. My voice comes out rough. You didn't bring Legos? He pouts, then brightens. It's okay. We'll build later. Mommy says we're taking pictures so the judge can see we're a real family. I told her we already are, but she said grown-ups need proof. Elena reaches us, slightly out of breath. Noah, what did we say about yelling personal legal strategies in public? That it's inadmissible something something, he recites, clearly quoting. But Daddy needs to know. I meet Elena's eyes over his head. We both almost laugh. Almost. Justin's over there, she says, nodding toward a guy with a camera hanging from his neck. He'll follow us around. We just do what we normally do. There is no normally yet, I remind her.
Then we make one, she says.
We walk. Justin trails at a discreet distance, snapping as Noah insists on showing me every tree, every squirrel, every dog. Somewhere between the second squirrel and the fifth dog, Noah slips his hand into mine like it's instinct. A beat later, I feel his other hand in Elena's. We become this unbroken chain moving down the path. Mother, child, man, who's trying to figure out what he is. At the fountain, Noah climbs onto the low stone edge. I hover with my hands out because of course he's going to fall, and of course he doesn't. When he jumps down, he grabs my face with sticky fingers. Daddy, smile, he commands. You look like the lawyers on TV who always lose. Elena actually laughs at that. A quick surprise sound that makes my chest ache with nostalgia for something we barely had. Justin catches the moment from 20 feet away. I can hear the shudder. Later, when we sit on a bench, Noah sprawls half across my lap and half across hers, book in hand. It's where the wild things are, edges worn soft. Mommy does the voices, Noah informs me. Can you do the monsters? I do contracts, I say. They're scarier. Elena smothers a smile and starts reading. I growl on cue when the wild things roar their terrible roars. Noah dissolves into giggles. For a few minutes, the whole thing stops feeling like evidence gathering and starts feeling like a Sunday morning, the kind of morning other people have every week. By the time the photographer packs up, my jeans are grass stained. My shoulders hurt from giving Noah half the piggyback rides in Manhattan. And something quietly terrifying has settled into my bones. The sense that I want more of this. Not because Ms. Patel needs a narrative, because I do. At the subway entrance, Noah clings to my leg. You're coming Tuesday, right? Pizza Tuesday? Yeah, buddy, I say. Pizza Tuesday. He nods, satisfied, and lets Elena lead him away. He looks back 3 times before the crowd swallows them. I stand there until the last flash of his light-up sneakers disappears, then turn toward a future I didn't know existed a week ago.
Leverick's Tuesday tradition.
The thing about routines is they sneak up on you. The first Tuesday dinner at Gino's feels like a one-off. Noah slides into the booth beside me, rattling off his opinions on pepperoni versus plain cheese like the Supreme Court is listening. Elena sits across from us, pretending to read the menu, even though I know she always orders arrabbiata no cheese.
By the third Tuesday, the waiter doesn't bother asking. The usual, he says, eyeing our trio with the faint curiosity of someone trying to place whether we're divorced, dating, or something in between.
By the 5th, he brings extra napkins for Noah before we sit down.
We fall into a pattern. Tuesday nights, pizza, Legos at my place, sleepy car rides back to Elena's brownstone. Thursday afternoons, quick coffee meetings to review filings and strategy. Some Saturdays, park visits, children's museums, the kind of places I used to walk past without seeing.
Noah adjusts faster than I do. Within 2 weeks, he has ranked my couch as his second favorite nap spot. First is Elena's lap, and declared my office too boring, but my Lego skills acceptable. He asked me the kind of questions 4-year-olds specialize in.
Why is the sky blue? Why do bad guys get lawyers? Why do you stop working at mommy's office?
That last one makes Elena go very still every time he brings it up. The first few times, I deflect. I wanted to start my own thing, I say. Now I have my own office. It's not a lie. It's just not the whole story.
One Thursday after we dropped Noah at preschool, Elena and I end up walking the extra block to my building instead of splitting ways at the corner.
It's going to come up in court, she says quietly as we wait for the elevator. Us, I mean. It already has, I say. Richard's lawyer brought up the firing in the preliminary conference, implied I was disgruntled. They'll dig for anything. Did you tell them? She trails off.
That I slept with my boss and she fired me the next business day, I ask. No. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, I say. We're not through this. When the elevator doors open, she hesitates. Got time to look over the latest draft from Patel? She asks. Noah's at school another 3 hours. I should say no. I should send her the red lines by email. Instead, I gesture her in.
Amy's face when she sees us step out of the elevator together is worth a screenshot. She schools it fast, but not fast enough. Ms. Harper, she says, professional tone clipped. Good to see you again. You too, Amy, Elena replies, equally polite. Your hair looks great. Amy touches the new bob self-consciously. Thanks. We work. It's terrifying how easy it is to slide back into that mode. Elena pacing while she thinks. Me anchored at the conference table with a laptop. Both of us batting ideas back and forth at a speed other people have trouble following. The difference is that now we pause every time the preschool calls, every time the shared calendar app pings with Noah doctor's appointment or Noah parent-teacher conference. Somewhere between revising an affidavit and arguing over a sentence in a character reference, she laughs at something I say. It's small, unplanned, but it punches straight through my chest. Don't, she says, catching the look on my face.
Don't what?
Don't look at me like that, she says, like we're back in my office and none of the rest of this ever happened.
We're not back in your office, I say. We're in mine.
She exhales, frustrated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I say. I do.
We don't talk about it again that day, but the shape of us has changed just a little.
The storm.
It happens on a Tuesday the weather app describes as scattered thunderstorms, and then in fine print, good luck. Noah spikes a mild fever at preschool. Elena calls me while I'm halfway through a client call. I'm taking him home, she says. He keeps asking if you're still coming tonight.
I'll bring soup, I say, before the responsible part of my brain has a chance to suggest rescheduling.
By the time I reach her brownstone, rain is hammering the sidewalk. I'm damp around the edges, hair plastered to my forehead. She opens the door in leggings and an oversized NYU law hoodie, hair in a messy knot, no makeup. It's unfair how beautiful she is like this. He's on the couch, she says. He insists he's dying, but the thermometer disagrees. Noah isn't dying. He's sitting under a blanket fort in the living room, cheeks flushed, hair sticking up, watching Where the Wild Things Are on a loop.
Daddy, he croaks exaggeratedly when he sees me. I require stories.
Doctor's orders, I ask?
Prince orders, he corrects. We read. We do monster voices. He falls asleep halfway through the second reading, hand fisted in my shirt like a lifeline. Elena covers him with a blanket, then nods toward the kitchen. Come on, I owe you dinner.
The kitchen is all white marble and stainless steel, architectural digest perfection. Rain drums a frantic rhythm on the windows. She pours wine for herself, water for me, then thinks better of it and pours scotch instead.
To bad life choices, she says, lifting her glass. That's vague enough to cover both of us, I say. We clink.
For a while, we talk about neutral things. Noah's obsession with dinosaurs, Amy's latest victory in snagging a client from a bigger firm, the fact that Richard's fiance posted a picture with Noah on Instagram and captioned it, "My little guy," which made Elena see red. I hate that she calls him that, she says, staring into her glass. She's known him 6 months. I carried him for 9. I'm the one who sat up with him through every ear infection, every night terror. You're the one he looks for when he's scared, I say. That counts more than captions. She looks up. You've gotten good at this.
At what?
At saying the thing I didn't know I needed to hear. The compliment lands somewhere between my ribs. Lightning flickers outside, followed by a low rumble of thunder. The lights flicker, then steady. Do you ever regret it? She asks suddenly. That night at the party. Yes, I say. And no.
She waits. Yes, because of what came after, I say. Because I lost my job, my career, and 5 years of my life trying to prove I was more than a mistake you made after too much champagne. No, because it was the one night of my life I didn't feel like an employee or a pawn or a problem to fix. I felt like someone you chose.
Her throat moves as she swallows. I did choose you, she says. I just didn't choose you enough. Another roll of thunder shakes the windows. I think about that night more than is healthy, she admits, voice low. Every time I walk into a hotel, every time I hear Sinatra, every time I open a bottle of that same scotch, I think about what it felt like to have your hands on me and not be calculating outcomes or reputations, just wanting something. She takes a step closer. So do I.
Liam, she says. Elena, we're a foot apart, then 6 inches, then 3. This is a terrible idea, she murmurs. Probably, I say. We kiss. It's not like the first time. Wild, impulsive, teetering on the edge of self-destruction. This one starts slow, mouths brushing, testing, then deepens as 5 years of repression give way. Her hands slide up my chest to my shoulders. Mine find her waist, fingers curling into the soft cotton of her hoodie. She tastes like scotch and rain and something uniquely her.
For a few dizzy seconds, there's no custody battle, no judge, no betrayal. Just this. The warmth of her body pressed against mine. The tiny sound she makes when I angle my head just right. The way her fingers curl in the hair at the nape of my neck. Then a small voice cuts through the thunder. Mommy? We break apart like teenagers caught on the couch. Elena's breathing hard, lips kiss swollen, eyes wide. She spins toward the doorway. Noah stands there, blanket trailing behind him, hair a wild halo. There's loud noises, he says, lower lip wobbling. Can I sleep in your bed? Of course, baby. She scoops him up, clinging to him like a lifeline. Over his shoulder, she meets my eyes.
There's apology there, regret, and something else that scares me more than both.
Stay, Noah mumbles, already half asleep again. Daddy, stay. Elena hesitates.
We'll talk later, she says to me, voice barely audible.
I nod, because right now he comes first.
He should have all along.
I grab my coat, step out into the rain, and walk home soaked to the skin, heart pounding, mind replaying one thought on a loop.
This isn't just about a custody case anymore. That closes part one at a natural emotional turning point. The past is reopened, the fake family structure is established, and the romantic tension has clearly reignited, but is interrupted by Noah, setting up part two for court drama, the DNA twist, the confrontation, and the final resolution.
There's no live character counter available this turn, so the length will be approximate rather than an exact 20,000 characters. But the structure will be complete and tightly focused on climax and resolution.
What's The Secret Baby in the Boardroom, Part 2.
The rain hasn't stopped by the time I reach my apartment. I peel off my soaked coat, toss it over a chair, and stand in the dark of my living room listening to the storm batter the windows. My lips still taste like Elena's scotch and apology. My shirt still smells faintly like her shampoo from where she pressed against me. And in my head, I keep hearing Noah's sleepy voice. Daddy, stay. I didn't, not tonight.
I'm still trying to decide if that was the right call when my phone buzzes. Elena. He's asleep, I'm sorry.
My thumbs hover over the keyboard.
Me. For what? It takes a minute. Elena. For 5 years, for tonight, for all the in-betweens.
I stare at the screen until the text blurs.
Me. We'll talk after the next hearing. 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. Elena. Okay.
I drop the phone onto the couch and scrub a hand over my face. This started as a legal strategy. It's not that simple anymore.
The Rashaz Court, Round 1.
Family court on a Tuesday morning is a strange place. The waiting area is full of people who look like they'd rather be anywhere else. Parents in cheap suits, grandparents clutching purses, kids trying to understand why adults are suddenly using words like custody and visitation like weapons. The air smells like old coffee and bad decisions. Elena sits beside me on the hard plastic bench, knee bouncing under her navy skirt. Her hair is up, makeup immaculate, expression composed. Only the white-knuckled grip on her leather portfolio gives her away. Richard Crane sits across the aisle with his attorney and fiancé. He looks exactly like the photos the internet spat out when I skirted my better judgment and Googled him. Tall, handsome in a catalog sort of way, hair just starting to gray at the temples. The fiancé is all polished blonde warmth, in a pastel suit and an engagement ring that could pay off my student loans twice. Richard's eyes flick to me, then to Elena, then to the empty space between us. He smirks. Don't rise to it, Miss Patel mutters under her breath. The judge is a woman in her 60s with steel gray hair and an air of permanent exhaustion. She's seen every version of this story before. Nothing we say today will surprise her. Richard's lawyer goes first, painting a picture of a mother consumed by ambition and a father eager to provide a calmer, more stable environment in London. Mr. Crane lives in a single family home with a yard, the lawyer says. Ms. Harper lives in a small Manhattan apartment and routinely works past midnight. Ms. Harper also employs a full time nanny, he adds, which, with all due respect, Your Honor, means that much of the day to day parenting is delegated.
When it's Ms. Patel's turn, she introduces an exhibit, a thick packet of photos from Central Park and Gino's and my office floor covered in Lego pieces. The judge flips through, poker faced.
Ms. Harper is a working mother who built a career to support her child, Ms. Patel says. And Mr. Foster, she nods at me, is the child's biological father, who has stepped up the moment he was made aware of his son's existence. Together, they are providing Noah with not one, but two stable households in the city where he has lived his entire life.
Finally, it's our turn on the stand.
Elena goes first. She's good. She's always been good under pressure. She admits to long hours without flinching, but counters with stories of PTA meetings and bedtime stories on the floor beside Noah's bed when she got home late. She talks about hiring a nanny not to replace herself, but to make sure Noah was never without care when she had to be in court.
When it's my turn, the room feels smaller. How long have you known your Mr. Harper Crane's biological father? Rich's lawyer asks. About 2 weeks, I say. And in those 2 weeks, you have become a devoted father. Is that right?
No, I say. The lawyer blinks, not expecting that. No? I became a devoted father the second I met him, I say. The 2 weeks are just the time I've had so far to prove it. Laughter ripples briefly through the crowded gallery before the judge bangs her gavel once for quiet. And before that, the lawyer presses, you had no involvement in this child's life.
I didn't know he existed, I say. If I had, I would have been there from day one. That's convenient, he says. It's true, I say. And for once, I don't care how it sounds. Whatever you think of his mother or of me, Noah should never have been without a father. That's not his fault. It's ours. We're trying to fix that now. The judge's eyes soften almost imperceptibly.
We walk out of the courtroom with no decision yet, just a new hearing date, more paperwork, more uncertainty. But in the hallway, Elena's hand brushes mine. She doesn't pull away. Thank you, she says. You keep saying that. I look down at our almost joined hands. One day you're going to have to stop just thanking me and tell me what you actually want. She doesn't answer. Not yet. That's through between hearings.
Life falls into a new rhythm.
Noah's drawings change. At first, he brings home pictures from preschool of a stick figure, Elena, and a stick figure, Noah, holding hands, with a smaller figure off to the side, labeled Uncle Richard. Then a new character appears, taller, with glasses and messy hair. Daddy? Sometimes we're all three holding hands. Sometimes I'm the one between them. He starts using words he hears in court prep and adult conversations.
Daddy, what's primary residence? Daddy, what's best interest of the child? Mommy says I'm the child. We try to keep things normal. Tuesday pizza, Saturday park, Sunday mornings building colossal, structurally unsound Lego towers in my living room, while Elena reads briefs on my couch with her feet tucked under her. We also talk, more than we did when I was her assistant. One night, long after Noah's fallen asleep in my bed with a plastic stormtrooper clutched in his fist, Elena and I sit on the floor leaning against the couch, the city lights flickering through the blinds.
Do you regret taking the partnership? I ask. She thinks about it. I regret what I was willing to sacrifice to get it, she says, including you.
That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. She looks sideways at me. Do you regret working your way back into this world, into courtrooms, clients, billable hours?
I regret that all of this is happening because two people with too much pride and not enough courage made a string of bad decisions, I say. But I don't regret knowing Noah or knowing you again. She looks away first. The physical line between us blurs slowly. A hand on my forearm when she's making a point. My palm on the small of her back when we cross a busy street with Noah between us. A lingering hug at the end of a long day.
There's a question hanging in the air between us. Are we doing this because of the case or in spite of it? I'm afraid of the answer. So apparently, is she? Drew Roxer's Court, round 2.
By the time the second hearing rolls around in early July, the weather has turned humid and tempers in the courthouse are shorter. Richard's lawyer comes armed this time. They've done their homework. Mr. Foster, he says when it's my turn on the stand again. Is it true that you were formerly employed by Ms. Harper as her executive assistant at Harper Legal? Yes. And is it true that you were terminated from that position 5 years ago?
Yes.
No further questions, he says, but the judge isn't fooled. Counsel, she says, I assume you're leading somewhere.
Richard's lawyer nods, feigning reluctance. Mr. Foster, under what circumstances did your employment end?
Ms. Patel starts to rise. Objection?
It's relevant to potential bias, he argues. This witness's entire testimony hinges on his evaluation of Ms. Harper as a parent. If he has reason to harbor resentment or ulterior motives,
The judge sighs. I'll allow a limited question. Answer, Mr. Foster.
the courtroom feels like it narrows to a point. I was fired, I say. No explanation. Were you in a romantic or sexual relationship with Ms. Harper at that time? He presses.
Elena's spine goes ramrod straight beside Miss Patel. Noah, thankfully, is not in the room for this. He's home with the nanny, building Lego galaxies instead of watching his parents' worst mistakes dissected.
We spent one night together, I say. The next business day, I was told to sign an NDA and escorted out.
A murmur sweeps through the courtroom. The judge bangs her gavel once.
And you don't see any reason you might have a grudge against Ms. Harper? The lawyer asks. No reason you might be testifying in her favor now to what? Prove some point? Get back at Mr. Crane? Capitalize on the lawsuit?
If I wanted to get back at Ms. Harper, I wouldn't be here supporting her, I say. I'd be sitting at home eating popcorn while her ex-husband tried to drag her through the mud alone. The judge covers a cough that sounds suspiciously like a suppressed laugh. So why are you here? The lawyer demands.
Because there's a 4-year-old boy who loves dinosaurs and space and both his parents, I say. Because he cries when he thinks he might have to leave his friends and his school and the only city he's ever known. Because when there's a thunderstorm, he sleeps better if he can hear his mom in the next room. And because when I walk into his preschool, he yells, "Daddy," like it's the best part of his day. I'm here because of him.
The lawyer opens his mouth, then closes it. No further questions, he mutters. Outside the courtroom, Elena leans against the wall, eyes closed.
You didn't have to admit to that, she says, when it's just us and Miss Patel in a side corridor. The judge already knew, I say. She's not stupid. Better it come from me than from a whisper network.
You still risked your own reputation, your firm? My firm is built on taking risks for people who deserve them. Her eyes search my face like she's looking for an angle. She doesn't find one.
Thank you, she says again, and this time there's more behind it than gratitude. There's something like awe. Very soon, the call. 2 weeks later, Miss Patel calls a Friday afternoon emergency meeting at her office.
Her expression when we walk in is not promising. What's wrong? Elena asks, skipping pleasantries. Ms. Patel taps her folder. You both knew this was a possibility, she says carefully. We had to do the testing to head off any surprises in court. My stomach drops. Testing? Standard in custody cases when paternity is being used as part of the argument, she says. DNA. Liam, I'm going to say this as plainly as I can. The room tilts. Deja vu from the first time Elena said, "He's yours."
According to the lab, Miss Patel says softly, Noah is not your biological son.
The words don't land at first. They hover in the air, unfamiliar, like a language I don't speak. That's not possible, I manage.
The test came back with a 99 point something percent match to Mr. Crane, she says. Timeline-wise, it tracks with what Elena told me privately. There was some overlap. She conceived around the time she left the marital home. She slept with you, and then, in a moment of weakness, with her estranged husband. It happens more often than you think.
The world snaps into cruel focus. I look at Elena. She looks like she's been hollowed out. I didn't know, she says, voice barely audible. I hoped. You never told me there was a chance, I say.
I couldn't be sure, she says. I took the test as soon as the court ordered it. I was going to tell you when we had the results. I thought, her voice cracks. I wanted him to be yours.
And he's not. The words taste like rust. Biology is one part of this, Ms. Patel says carefully. The court cares about established relationships. You've been acting as Noah's father. That matters, but we cannot misrepresent facts. Richard's attorney will get these results too. I stand. The room feels too small. The air tastes wrong.
I need a minute, I say.
Liam, Elena reaches for me. I step back.
If I stay another second, I'm going to say something we can't unsay, I tell her. So I'm leaving now.
I walk out before either of them can stop me.
Eureka's radio silence.
For 2 days, I don't answer her calls. My phone buzzes across the nightstand as I lie awake staring at the ceiling. Her name flashes again and again. I let it go to voicemail.
Yudi, Elena. Please pick up. Elena. We need to talk about how to handle this in court. Elena. Noah keeps asking why you're busy all the time again. That last one hurts. Amy notices the tension at work. She doesn't comment when I stay later than usual, burying myself in contracts that have nothing to do with custody or family or heartbreak.
I can't look at the Lego sets in the corner of my living room. They sit there, half-built monuments to a life I thought I was stepping into.
On the third day, I get a different message. Elena. If you never want to see me again, I understand, but please don't punish him for my mistakes.
That's the one that makes me grab my keys. Mercy.
One, the doorstep.
She opens the door on the second knock. She looks nothing like the Elena Harper who annihilated me 5 years ago. Hair down, t-shirt and jeans, barefoot, eyes swollen from crying. For a second, I remember the woman in the NYU hoodie with our son's head in her lap, worrying about thunder. Where's Noah? I ask.
Asleep, she says. He wore himself out building a rocket to London so he can visit whichever parent the judge picks.
I close my eyes briefly.
Come in, she says.
I'm better off yelling out here, I say.
Then yell, she folds her arms, bracing for impact.
You knew there was a chance he wasn't mine, I say. And you let me sign papers. You let me stand up in court and call myself his father. You let me fall in love with him. I fell in love with you years ago, she says. I didn't tell you that in time either. This isn't the moment for romance, I snap. No, she says. It's the moment for truth. She steps closer. Yes, I slept with Richard after you. Once. It was a stupid, lonely, angry mistake. I felt sick about it immediately. When I found out I was pregnant, I did the math and prayed the timing meant he was yours. I convinced myself it must be you because that's what I wanted. I never lied on a form. I marked paternity disputed when the court asked. Her voice breaks. I just didn't tell you how scared I was that it might not be you.
That's not a small detail, Elena.
I know. Tears spill over now, full and unrestrained. And I also know that biology doesn't erase the last 3 months. You are the one Noah runs to. You're the one who knows his favorite bedtime story, the number of steps he counts between your front door and the elevator, the song that calms him down when he's overstimulated. Richard knows none of that. Richard is his father, I say, on paper, in his DNA.
And you're his father in every way that counts. She swallows hard. I am not asking you to forgive me for the past. I am asking you what kind of man you want to be now.
The question hangs between us, electric. Do you really think I can just flip a switch, I ask? Turn this off? One day I'm drawing spaceships and talking about kindergarten. The next day I'm, what, a friendly stranger? No, she says. I think once you are someone's father, that doesn't switch off, even if a lab report says otherwise.
Silence.
I love him, Liam, she says, more than I have ever loved anything, and I love you. That terrifies me, but it's true. If you walk away now, I won't stop you. I've already taken too much from you to demand anything else, but don't walk away thinking it's the only option. You can choose to stay, not for me, for him, for you. Somewhere inside my chest, something shifts.
She's right about one thing. I don't know how to unlove Noah. The idea of him looking for me at preschool and not finding me makes my stomach turn.
If I stay, I say slowly, it doesn't erase what you did.
It shouldn't, she says.
If I stay, I'm not your prop for court, I continue. I'm his parent. That means you don't get to cut me out when it's inconvenient. You don't get to rewrite history.
You would have equal say, she says, on everything. School, doctors, where we live. I will sign whatever paperwork it takes to make that true. And us, I ask, because I have to. What are we?
She actually laughs, a raw, watery sound. A mess, she says. We are a complete catastrophic mess, but maybe we're a mess worth cleaning up.
I should be angrier than I am. Maybe I will be again tomorrow. But standing here in the doorway of the house where my almost son sleeps, with rain starting to fall again, and Elena looking at me like I'm the last good thing on earth, I realized that my life forked the moment she walked into my office with Noah. One path is clean, safe. Walk away now, wall everything off. Never risk this kind of hurt again.
The other is chaos.
I'll see you in court Monday, I say.
Her face falls for half a heartbeat. Then I add, as his father. Hope flickers back to life in her eyes. And after court, I say, we're going to talk. No more NDAs, no more half truths. I'll be there, she says. I know, I say. This time I actually believe you.
Shh, the verdict.
The final hearing is a marathon. Experts testify. A court appointed psychologist who interviewed all of us, including Noah, reports that he's securely attached to Elena and developing a strong attachment to me. She notes that he refers to both Richard and me as Daddy, but distinguishes us as London Daddy and Lego Daddy. The courtroom chuckles at that. Richard's attorney argues relocation would mean better schools, more space, a fresh start. Ms. Patel counters with community, stability, the trauma of uprooting a 4-year-old from everything he knows. Elena reads a statement she wrote and rewrote a dozen times. She admits to past mistakes, marrying too young, prioritizing her reputation over honesty, letting fear dictate her choices. She doesn't name our night together or the firing, but the subtext hums in every syllable. I can't change what I did, she tells the judge. I can only show you who I am now. A mother who will stand in front of a train for her son if she has to. This courtroom is that train. I'm here. Then it's my turn.
I don't have a prepared speech. I tried to write one. It sounded like marketing copy. Your Honor, I say, the DNA results say I'm not Noah's biological father. I'm not disputing that. But genes didn't stay up with him when he had night terrors. Genes didn't learn the names of all 43 dinosaur species he can rattle off at dinner. Genes didn't stand outside preschool the first time he went inside alone and fight the urge to run after him.
The judge watches me, expression unreadable. Biology matters, I say. But it's not the only thing that does. Noah has a father in Richard, whether we like it or not. He also has a father in me. And he has a mother who has never once failed to put his needs above the bruises to her ego. The question isn't which one of us gets him. The question is what's best for him.
The judge asked me point blank, if I grant Ms. Harper primary custody and allow you defined visitation as a legal co-parent, will you commit to being in this child's life for the long haul, regardless of your romantic relationship or lack thereof with Ms. Harper?
Yes, I say, without hesitation. I'm in, whatever form that takes. We wait. The decision doesn't come that day. It arrives a week later in a wood-paneled courtroom that suddenly feels too small to contain all the futures hanging in the air. The judge reads for a long time. Legal language about best interests, attachments, stability, parental fitness. It all blurs until the only words that matter are these.
Primary physical custody is granted to Ms. Elena Harper. Mr. Richard Crane is granted visitation as outlined in the attached schedule, including extended time during summers and holidays. Relocation to London with the minor child is denied at this time. Mr. Liam Foster is recognized as a legal co-parent with full rights to visitation and participation in major decisions affecting the child's welfare. I don't realize I've been holding my breath until my lungs burn.
Elena turns to me, hand flying to her mouth, eyes full of tears. Then she turns to Ms. Patel and hugs her, whispering something I can't hear. Richard's attorney scowls. Richard just looks shell-shocked. His fiancée stares down at her phone like maybe there's a text that can fix this. Noah, who's been coloring on a bench with the court officer, looks up as the room buzzes. Is it done? He asks, hopping down. Elena kneels, opening her arms. He barrels into them.
What did the judge say? He asked into her shoulder.
She said you're staying in New York, Elena says, voice shaking. With me and with Daddy Liam. And you'll still see Daddy Richard sometimes, but you don't have to go live in London. Noah pulls back. So, we won? Yes, she says. We did. He pumps a tiny fist in the air. Yes, no London school uniforms. Then he looks at me. You're not going anywhere, right?
I'm not going anywhere, I say. It feels like a vow. You're stuck with me.
Good, he says, completely satisfied, because we haven't finished the Death Star yet. He runs off to show the court officer is drawing. Elena stands slowly, wipes her cheeks, and meets my gaze.
Thank you, she says again. Stop thanking me, I say. Start letting me help.
She nods. Okay. Starting with ice cream, I add. There's a kid over there who thinks victory should be marked with chocolate sprinkles. She laughs through her tears. You're probably right.
But 1 year later.
The rooftop at the Standard looks different when you're not the help.
There's still the same view, the Hudson stretching out dark and wide, string lights overhead, the city glittering like a circuit board. But tonight, the party is smaller, less corporate, more chaotic.
Noah, now 5 3/4, as he likes to remind everyone, is chasing another kid around the dance floor with a balloon sword. Jazz has been replaced by a questionable playlist curated by my associate Amy, who's currently trying to lead a partner from Harper Legal onto the dance floor.
At the edge of it all, Elena stands in a dark green dress, hair down, laughs soft and real, as she watches the chaos she helped build.
On the wall behind the bar in temporary vinyl are the words Harper and Foster Family Law Group Launch Party. It's been a wild year. After the custody case, referrals poured in. People talk. The managing partner who almost lost her kid and the consultant who fought like hell beside her are teaming up. It made too much sense not to do it. Harper Legal kept its corporate practice. We spun off a boutique focusing on families who didn't want their lives destroyed in court if it could be helped.
We're still figuring it out, but we're figuring it out together.
You're brooding, Elena says now, stepping up beside me with 2 champagne flutes. Just thinking, I say, about how much has changed since the last time I stood in this spot.
Last time, I was about to make the worst professional and personal decision of my life, she says. Now I'm making much better ones.
She hands me a glass. Our fingers brush. The contact still sends a little jolt up my arm. Speaking of decisions, I say, Noah wants to know if we're officially living together now that the firm is. She laughs. He actually asked me if we needed to file a merger document for the house.
That's my boy.
Her smile softens. What does she want, Liam?
It's the question I've been avoiding since the verdict. I start, then stop, because the answer is big and heavy and simple all at once.
I want the mornings where Noah crawls into the bed between us because he dreamed about space pirates. I want the nights where Elena falls asleep with Discovery files on her chest and her glasses askew. I want arguments about dishwasher loading techniques and school lunch menus and whether or not we let him sign up for karate, because he will absolutely kick someone in the face. I want the life I thought I'd lost the day she fired me. I want the life I didn't even know I could have until a kid with my dimples called me daddy in a small office with a ruined rug.
I want us, I say, all the way. No more half measures, no more for court or for appearances. Just us, messy and real. Elena's eyes shine. Then it's a good thing I brought this, she says, and pulls something small and familiar from her clutch.
My heart stops.
It's my old tie, the navy one. The one she spilled wine on at the holiday party 5 years ago, the night everything started. The stain has been carefully cleaned, but if you look closely under the light, you can still see a faint shadow where the red once was. I kept it, she says. I told myself it was because it was evidence of my own stupidity. But really, I kept it because it reminded me of you, of the version of me who could still choose you.
She hands it to me. Tomorrow, when Noah stands between us with that ring pillow he's been practicing with for weeks, I want you to wear it. Are you asking me to marry you with a tie? I ask.
Consider it a counteroffer, she says. You can present your terms at the altar.
I laugh a little unsteady. I think my terms are pretty simple, I say. You, me, a kid who thinks Death Stars are appropriate centerpieces, and no more secrets. Her voice goes soft. Deal. She leans in and kisses me there on the rooftop where we first lit the match that burned everything down. This time, there's no guilt, no panic, no looming threat, just us, just the taste of champagne and possibility. Noah, she calls when we break apart. 5-minute warning. He skids to a stop in front of us, cheeks flushed, hair wild. But the party just started.
The party continues tomorrow, I say. You've got a big job making sure your mom doesn't trip over her own dress.
And you don't lose the rings, Elena adds.
I got this, he says, deadly serious. Then he grins up at us. We're really going to be a real family, huh?
We already are, I say. Tomorrow's just paperwork. He nods, apparently satisfied. Cool. Can we have Lego on the cake?
Elena groans. We talked about this? If we don't, he's going to build it himself and smuggle it on, I say. Might as well negotiate favorable terms now.
She throws her hands up. Fine. Lego on the cake. This is what happens when 2 lawyers raise a tiny tyrant. He's not a tyrant, I say as Noah zooms away again. He's a litigant in training. She slides her arm through mine and rests her head on my shoulder. You know, she says, If someone had told me 5 years ago that I'd end up here with you and a kid who argues case law about bedtime, I would have fired them. You kind of did, I remind her. She winces. Too soon? Always, I say, kissing the top of her head. But we'll work on your HR policies. The band starts a slow song. I tug her toward the dance floor.
People are watching, she says.
Let 'em, I answer, echoing my younger, stupider self. We've got nothing to hide anymore.
We dance under the same string lights that watched us make a mess of everything years ago. Only this time, we're not dancing on the edge of a cliff pretending we don't see it. We've fallen, climbed back up, and are building something solid on the other side.
At the edge of the floor, Noah stands on a chair conducting the band with his balloon sword.
You know what the best part is? Elena asks quietly.
What?
No NDAs, she says. If we screw this up, it'll be all over town.
We won't, I say. How can you be so sure? Because this time, I say, tightening my arms around her, we're not making decisions out of fear. We're making them out of love. And for once in our complicated, case-filed, contract-bound lives, that feels like the most binding agreement of all.
If you want, the next step can be tightening specific sections for pacing, or rewriting individual scenes into a more script-like format with VO directions, shot suggestions, or timing beats for your video.